This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word SHOW to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word SHOW, SHOW, to 33777. Text SHOW to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Hello, America. It's Eric Erickson here. Welcome. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be very happy to have you with me. I gotta tell you, the FBI has released footage. So Nancy Guthrie, Savannah Guthrie's mother, had a doorbell camera. She was not actually subscribed to the service that kept like a 24-hour log. Apparently, they were able to get the company, I don't know the brand, but to get it. It has now been released publicly. It is disturbing. It is nightmare fuel. Someone shows up in the middle of the night. They are wearing gloves. They are wearing a mask. You can barely make out a mustache, but it's a ski mask. And they're holding up stuff to block the camera. They eventually dismantle the camera. It is really, really disturbing stuff. And now, here's the other crazy thing. A local reporter just put this video up. A Domino's delivery driver just walked all the way up to Nancy Guthrie's front door trying to deliver a pizza through the crime scene. They believe that it was someone in the media standing out on the street covering the story. I know I've got a bunch of prayer warriors in the audience. Today is my wife's cancer scans, and you guys are real good about praying for her. We're not going to get the results today. Had an issue with scheduling, and so I didn't go with her. Otherwise, I would have. She wasn't able to meet with the doctors and stuff today. And I know you guys say all the time you're praying for my wife. I hope y'all are praying for Nancy Guthrie and her family. What a horrible thing. And I mean, this, y'all, I struggle now. The footage is black and white. And I got to tell you, this guy, I'm looking at the picture, has on a ski mask covering his whole face other than a cutout for his mouth and his eyes. He is wearing black gloves, and the black gloves, the way his hands are, it looks like he's got probably gloves on underneath the latex gloves because the hands seem swollen, and that usually, chefs will wear insulated gloves, and then they put the latex gloves over them, a larger fit latex glove, so they're not burning their hands when they're pulling pork and stuff. That's what this guy looks like. He's got some sort of strap on around him. I don't know if the backpack, gun, something. It is disturbing to say the least as he is approaching. He's definitely got a gun. I see he's armed there. He's definitely wearing gloves under the latex gloves. Got a backpack on, turns around and has a backpack. turns around and walks out, grabs vegetation, plants of some kind, and goes back to block the view of the camera with some level of, but it's not working. And this is just nightmare fuel. She's shoving brush up against the camera to block the lens of the camera. Y'all, I am not. I'm just. I don't know. I'm really troubled. And the sad thing about this is, well, we don't know the details. It is easy to speculate that this person targeted this woman because of who her daughter is. And the implications there for a lot of famous people and their families is awful. And keep this whole family in your prayers. Keep this whole family in your prayers. Now, I have nothing else I can add here. I want to move on to other stuff. I want to play for you the governor of Kentucky, Andy Beshear. Andy Beshear, you need to know, is born with a silver spoon in his mouth. His father was the governor of Kentucky. He's the governor of Kentucky. And he has very high polling. And the Democrats are looking at him for 2026. And I think he'd probably be a better candidate for them than Gavin Newsom, but I don't know that he can get through a primary. One of the benefits that Andy Beshear has is he's got a supermajority of Republicans in the Kentucky legislature, and they regularly pass legislation that he then vetoes. They then override the veto and put it into law, and Andy Beshear takes credit for it. So particularly in Kentucky, Andy Beshear took credit for prohibiting boys and girls sports. Andy Beshear vetoed that legislation, but the state legislature overrode it, and then he took credit for it. And now he's going on The View, and like James Tallarico before him from Texas, he's using his faith to defend transgenderism.
But we rarely talk about the why. People want to know what drives us, especially in a world with social media where everyone's looking for the next authentic thing. For me, that's my faith. Most of the decisions I make are based on that golden rule that says we love our neighbor as ourselves. Yeah. And that parable of the Good Samaritan that says everyone is our neighbor. Yeah. And so when I've taken actions like vetoing the nastiest piece of anti-LGBTQ legislation that ever came through my state, I described it in those terms. I said my faith teaches me that all children are children of God. Yeah. And I didn't want people picking on those kids.
Yeah. Now, what he did was he vetoed legislation that would restrict trans surgeries for minors. It was overruled. Here's the problem for white progressives. You guys don't understand this. In fact, I put this on social media, and a white progressive who identifies as a Reagan conservative, which I doubt it, says, oh, you must be afraid of James Tallarico in Texas or an Andy Beshear. No, not afraid of him at all. In fact, Democrats, I'm trying to help you. Let me explain to those of you on the right why I'm trying to help the Democrats. Don't be offended with me. Try to at least understand me. I believe in this country that having two rational, sane, healthy parties competing is healthy for the nation. When I see the Democratic Party go absolutely bat crap crazy, it gives my party a pass to get lazy. I want my party on an A game because we need to be able to understand the arguments on the other side, and we need to be able to respond with better arguments. And when they're just insane on the other side, we don't even have to have good arguments. We just win. Donald Trump beat Kamala Harris because the Democrats went insane. Democrats may win the midterms because Republicans look like they're going insane on stuff. We're arguing over voter ID in Congress instead of the cost of living in the economy. We're not rolling back tariffs. We're not pushing back on the president on tariffs. Absolutely insane on the GOP side. But the Democrats, they're going to keep their insanity around. Here's the problem for white progressives who claim to be Christians, and a lot of them do. We'll let God determine whether or not they are. But here's the problem. Genesis 1:27. Taught this in Sunday school 2 weeks ago. God made man, male and female. And the word choice, the verb is bara, Hebrew word. It means essentially created. It's a created the whole. It's something only God can do. There are lots of times God makes things in the Bible. There are lots of times we make things in the Bible, but only when God makes things completed is it bara. And Genesis 1:27 uses the word 3 times. He made us, he brought us. He made us in his image and likeness, brought us in his image and likeness. He made us male and female, bara. 3 times. In one passage of the Bible, 3 times, it says God divinely created us. We can't create ourselves male and female. It is idolatry to think that you can. Transgenderism is idolatry. And when you have progressives like James Tallarico and Andy Bashir, white progressives who are never by the left going to get challenged on their faith, they can say things like this. And the funny thing that the white progressives don't understand is that this is a dog whistle for black and Hispanic Democrats who vote Democrat for historic reasons but are not socially progressive. I get really annoyed with a lot of my friends on the right who say if you're a Christian, you can't vote Democrat, because while I'm sympathetic to the argument, if you're a black American and you're a Christian, you probably do vote Democrat. Why? Because of historic reasons related to the civil rights deal, John F. Kennedy desegregating schools, all of it, Lyndon Johnson and the Great Society. Black families in this country tend to be a Democrat these days, even though you can say Martin Luther King Jr. was a Republican. For historic reasons related to the civil rights struggle, a lot of black voters vote Democrat. And you know what? You're just wasting your energy trying to explain to them that, well, Democrats were the party of slavery. They view history differently from you. They still, a lot of them vote Democrat, even as they disagree with left-wing orthodoxy on sexuality and things like that. And when you trot out a James Tallarico in Texas, the reason he's losing to Jasmine Crockett, even though these Democrats don't like her so much, but he's losing. The latest poll has him 10 points behind her. And the reason he's losing, he may wind up winning. There's still weeks to go, but the reason he's losing black and Hispanic voters to Jasmine Crockett, and in Texas, by the way, Hispanic voters and black voters don't get along. But they're all leaning towards Jasmine Crockett. Why in the Democratic primary? Because when they hear Tallarico talk about his faith, and his faith affirms transgenderism, his faith affirms gay marriage, his faith affirms abortion, they say that guy's not really Christian. Don't be mad at me for telling you their interpretation of it. But when you come to me and tell me you're a Christian and you affirm every view that the secular left has, I have my doubts on whether or not you learned your Christianity from anything other than Rosetta Stone translation. It's like Mitt Romney, when he used to speak conservatism, it sounded like he learned conservatism from Rosetta Stone. These Andy Bashir, James Tallarico, white progressive Christians sound like they didn't actually read the Bible. They had the Rosetta Stone translation. Maybe they read the Cliff Notes. When you have Andy Bashir go on television and says, these are my neighbors, and I just think that we have to be like the Good Samaritan and love our neighbors. You know, you don't love your neighbor by allowing your neighbor to genitally mutilate your children or their children. That's not loving your neighbor. To permanently disfigure a child is not loving your neighbor, Andrew, and everybody who's an authentic Christian knows that and knows Genesis 1:27. God made us male and female in a way we don't get to make male and female. A biological male can never change his chromosomes. A biological male can never become a female. And to the extent you think you've become one, it's a sign of the mental illness involved in transgenderism. And to normalize this stuff rubs a lot of non-white Christians the wrong way. And those non-white Christians have historically voted Democrat, and they're starting to move to the right. Why? Because the Democratic Party got crazy. And again, I think the party needs 2 sane parties. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party, if mentally sane, compete with each other in the battle of ideas. And the Republicans don't even have to compete with the Democrats anymore. They just say, hey, look at them. They're crazy. And they are. And you know, the sad thing, Republicans, is that the crazy Democrats might actually beat you in November because people are really mad about affordability issues. The big fight in Congress today is on voter ID, while the Republicans in the House of Representatives are working to try to block any effort to repeal the tariffs from the president. You got a big issue of affordability, big affordability issue, and You're fighting on voter ID. That's your big fight, Republicans. That's why you're losing right now in the generic ballot. You promised to lower costs. The president came in. He imposed tariffs, which jacked up people's costs. He lied about it, just like the Democrats lied about inflation. People are feeling the tariffs. They can't acknowledge they were wrong. And this is why the Republicans are losing in November. It doesn't matter that the GOP has more cash than the Democrats. They have a $320 million lead in the bank right now over Democrats for the 2026 midterms. At some point, the money doesn't matter. It's the positions. But for the white progressives out there who you want to understand why you continue to lose black and Hispanic voters and why in presidential years when everybody shows up at the vote, you keep losing to people like Donald Trump, is because you've lost your mind on transgenderism and stuff like that. And when you trot out these white boy politicians from the South, says, I grew up in the church, I know my Bible, and they're all my neighbors. You can't make people male and female. That is the very first chapter in the Bible. And if you don't know that, stop claiming you know your Bible and somehow progressives can trust you to get the faith right when you're getting wrong out of the gate. Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be absolutely happy to have you. I just got sent this remarkable video from yesterday in Gainesville, Georgia. A plane crash landed on a busy road, took off from the airport. The engine had a complete malfunction, and the plane glided down onto a busy highway, Browns Bridge Road, which is a very busy intersection there at Pearl Lakes Parkway. It's a 2010 Hawker Beechcraft with a pilot and a student pilot. Just absolutely incredible. Complete loss of power. They tried to make it back to the airport. They couldn't, so they landed on the road, and the pilot told ATC to just tell his wife he loved her if something didn't work out. Dodged a massive amount of power lines, hit 3 cars, and no fatalities. Just brilliant pilot work by that pilot. I got to tell you, I've got friends who I'm not yet at the point where I can regularly fly private. I'd love to, just for convenience. So I got friends who are like, why on earth would you do that? Because given so many more private planes crash than commercial jets, use a charter service and the planes are as safe as the commercial jets. It's the people who like the small planes and the people who own their planes. And they're their own mechanics and stuff. And I don't know that that's the situation here, but those are the ones, like, I would never own my plane and be my own mechanic because that would end badly. But I would love to do NetJets one day if I ever win the lottery. Now, speaking of money, Swiss America can help you understand what's going on in the world today. They actually have a great YouTube podcast. Look for Swiss America Trading. They explain what's happening in the world financial markets, the BRIC nations, the rise of China as a potential reserve currency, how it'll impact us. You get educated on this and the secret war on cash. They'll give you their report for free. It takes less than 15 minutes to read on the secret war on cash, which applies not just to precious metals and currency, but to crypto as well. The government trying to curb how you spend money. Get the report completely free by calling or texting 800-289-2646. The all-out war on cash does apply to digital forms of currency too. Swiss America, which is one of the trusted leaders in precious metals in this country, can educate you. Call or text my name, Eric, to 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK. Let Swiss America help you, educate you, and give you everything you need to know how to dodge the secret war on cash and get educated about it. Just text Eric, ERICK, to 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply. When we come back, we need to talk about Epstein Island and the new effort to release more redacted names in the files and how this is clearly becoming just a political stunt for everybody. I've waited here to stir the pot. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson, 877-973-7425. Text Eric, ERICK, to 33777. More importantly, if you text golf to 33777, not only will I send you the Van Allen golf link, but I'll also send you my referral discount code for, well, it's not a discount code, it's a referral link to the Golfer's Journal. If you've got someone in your family who's a big golf nut, Golfer's Journal, my gosh, I just got my latest edition. It is the only magazine I read cover to cover. It's quarterly. It is gorgeous. Then you get into the Broken Tea Society with me. You go to golf events. You know who's a member of the Broken Tea Society? Sam Darnold. He is too. I saw him wearing a cap the other day. I was like, that's my cap. You got to be a Broken Tea Society member to get it. He's never showed up at one of the events I'm at, but he apparently does to some. It's a cool. The magazine is great. The community around it and the golf is phenomenal as well. Just text golf to 33777 if you want to. It is a great golf gift, by the way. Really, it's a phenomenal gift for people in your family who are golfers. I just actually. So Charlie and I are going on a golf trip, and I got him through the Broken Tea Society one of their golf bags. It's cool. Just fun people. And you don't have to be, I don't have a handicap. I'm bad, but it's great. Now, I'm going to stir the pot, and I know some of you are going to be mad because you got mad yesterday. Howard Lutnick went to Jeffrey Epstein's island. What I've noticed is that the Trump supporters who cared greatly about Jeffrey Epstein stopped the moment it implicated people they liked. Steve Bannon, deep ties to Jeffrey Epstein, friend of Jeffrey Epstein. I had someone yesterday come at me and say, no, that's not true. He was just a client. Have you read the email exchanges between the men and the text message exchanges between the men? There was a clear friendship. Not only that, Bannon pretty critical of Donald Trump in some of the text messages. Why are Christian social media influencers still going on Steve Bannon's show? You know, from the text message exchanges, here's what appears to have happened is Jeffrey Epstein advised Steve Bannon that he should do a media career and he could bypass FARA, the Foreign Agent Registration Act. If you're in the media and you want to promote the interests of a foreign government, well, they can't come after you because of the First Amendment. About a year later, he started up his whole podcast stuff. Bannon, by the way, does have ties to a Chinese Communist Party person. But he's got close ties to Jeffrey Epstein, including pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein, selfies with Epstein, sitting at Epstein's desk, chatting with Epstein, with pictures of some of the victims that appears on the desk. They've been blocked out by the FBI, those pictures on the desk. Are y'all going to stop listening to Steve Bannon? I doubt some of you will. Some of you will try to make an excuse but. Same with Howard Lutnick. But. I'll go after this, what someone told me this morning. I'll go after Howard Lutnick the moment the Democrats go after Stacey Plaskett. Oh, so now it's moral relativism. It's bad that he had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, but God forbid we take action against a man who lied about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein because the Democrats won't do it. So that's it. It's bad, but if the Democrats won't do anything, you're not going to do anything. So you're allowing the Democrats to control whether you've decided it's right or wrong. Well, it's wrong, you say, but you're not going to do anything about it because they won't. So you're allowing the Democrats to control your morality. Yeah, it's a problem for Stacey Plaskett. She's the representative or delegate from Virgin Islands in the House of Representatives. She lied through her teeth about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I was asked to go on a show on CNN to talk about Lutnick and Bannon, and I brought up Plaskett, and suddenly the conversation wasn't going to happen, it doesn't seem. But, you know, there's a there with the Democrats. Catherine Rumler, who is Barack Obama's White House counsel, is now at Goldman Sachs. Now, the rumor at Goldman Sachs is they are plotting her discreet departure. But it's wild to me, Howard Lutnick flat out lied about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It lasted far longer. It lasted after Epstein was indicted, and he and his family went to Epstein's island. But he wants us to believe it was insubstantial and it was just accidental and incidental and ancillary. I'm sorry, but no one accidentally went to Jeffrey Epstein's island, Howard Lutnick. But the Trump administration is not only circling the wagon around Lutnick, saying he's not going anywhere, they're also trying to get Steve Bannon's criminal record cleared up. The Trump administration, Judge Jeanine, now the U.S. Attorney in D.C., wants to expunge Steve Bannon's criminal record. There sure is a lot of effort going into the Republicans protecting these people. The Democrats are protecting theirs as well, but I got no say in their party. I'm not one of them. I'm a Republican, and all you people who seem to care greatly about Jeffrey Epstein suddenly don't anymore. That gets me to Thomas Massie. Yesterday, Thomas Massie came out, said all the horrors he had seen, the names of a CEO who was in the file, who should have been released, 6 other names should have been released. Why won't Pam Bondi do this? Thomas Massie has the protection of the United States Constitution. As a member of the United States House of Representatives, Thomas Massie can go on the floor of the House of Representatives and say anything he wants about anyone he wants to say it about. And that person cannot sue Thomas Massie. So instead of saying, Pam Bondi, you do it, which is what the Epstein victims are doing. Why won't Pam Bondi release the information? Why won't y'all release the information? Thomas Massie is nursing his grudge against Donald Trump, who's trying to oust Massie and boot him in his Republican primary in Kentucky. The man who seemed to really care about the victims now seems to really care about using the Epstein files to weaponize them against Donald Trump. And he's just going to say, oh, they're covering up. They covered up 6 names. They redacted 6 names. Well, go tell us who they are, Congressman. You have the power to reveal those 6 names without Pam Bondi doing it. You have the power to reveal the name of the CEO that you say is a prominent, well-known, retired CEO. Why don't you go to the floor of the House of Representatives and tell us, Congressman, instead of doing the dog and pony show, instead of doing the routine to make it salacious and get attention? You have the power to do this, Congressman. Why are you not exercising your power? And yeah, you Democrats, why aren't you calling for Stacey Plaskett? You know, she lied. She absolutely lied. Republicans made an effort of booting her from Congress, and she lied through her teeth. We now know that her ties to Jeffrey Epstein were way friendlier and way deeper, and there were financial ties, among other things, with Jeffrey Epstein. She lied about it. You Democrats, who you care real greatly about hurting Donald Trump, and Republicans, you want to oust Howard Lutnick, you want to shame Steve Bannon. Where are you on Stacey Plaskett? Where are you on Rumler? Where are you on the Democrats? Where are you on Bill Clinton, who is there's tape or photos of him frolicking with Ghislaine Maxwell and some redacted woman in a pool? Where is your outrage, Democrats? We have reached peak decadence in the United States of America, where there has clearly been abuse, and no one cares unless it helps their tribe. Donald Trump's MAGA supporters who cared greatly about Epstein took the position they all needed to be exposed and driven from society. Today, almost a dozen different people have told me, well, I'll drive Howard Lutnick from society the moment the Democrats do it. So we'll keep our predators and abusers and creeps and Epstein associates if the Democrats do the same. We're going to let the Democrats control our morality. We're going to let the Democrats control our right and wrong. We're going to let the Democrats control the justice that only we can mete out. If they won't get rid of the creeps, the weirdos, the Epstein fans, the predators, the abusers and the like, well, we're not going to do it either. There are a number of social media influencers who regularly go on Steve Bannon's program. They're Christian influencers who go on Steve Bannon's program. Steve Bannon had a close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Steve Bannon wanted to do a film to rehabilitate Jeffrey Epstein's image. Epstein wasn't just a client. Jeffrey Epstein was a friend of Steve Bannon's. And Bannon wanted to do this. And the irony is that a number of the people who showed up at the White House and got those white binders from Pam Bondi with the Epstein list documents still going on Steve Bannon's program. I guess they really didn't care as much as they said they did. It was all an act. That's all I can conclude on the left and the right, is that it was all an act. Some of you cared greatly about Epstein. Some of you just wanted the gossip. Some of you cared. A man who seemed to be running a human trafficking ring. And some of the victims, I'm told, the reason that they won't come out and really talk is because they wound up becoming traffickers, complicit with Epstein. They want immunity to talk. They were so abused by Epstein that he was able to then get them to turn on other women and abuse those women with him. Some of them, not all of them. You claim you want justice for these people, but now justice is shaded by the partisan stripes. There are a lot of people on both sides of the aisle, a lot of people on both sides of the aisle who only care about truth and justice if it can snare someone on the other side. And if your calls for truth and justice are wrapped in partisanship, and your calls for truth and justice are limited by partisan outcomes, you're not really committed to truth and justice. You're committed to your tribe. And our society continues to be imperiled and degraded and decline when both sides' version of right and wrong is shaded by their partisan interests. And I say that on both sides. Republicans, you have a Steve Bannon and a Howard Lutnick problem. Democrats, you've got a Stacey Plaskett problem, among others. You got a Bill Clinton problem. You got a Catherine Rummler problem. You got a lot of celebrity problems. You got a lot of problems with people tied to Epstein, and I suspect more names will be coming out. Now, there are a lot of people whose names came up who were totally innocent. A lot of names in the Epstein files, totally innocent. I saw someone the other day say that Donald Trump was in the Epstein files 38,000 times. Well, Trump's name was, but, over like 80% of those were conversations Epstein was having with other people about Donald Trump or about Trump properties or about other members of the Trump family. It was just the last name Trump 38,000 times. Jeffrey Epstein didn't have a close relationship with Donald Trump, and we now know that the chief of police in Palm Beach, Donald Trump, called him and reported Jeffrey Epstein and referred to him and Ghislaine Maxwell as evil in the early 2000s, while Bill Clinton was frolicking with Jeffrey Epstein, while Howard Lutnick was starting his relationship, while Steve Bannon was starting his relationship, while Stacey Plaskett was starting her relationship, while Catherine Rummler was starting her relationship. Ben Domenech has a piece talking about why so many of these people who did nothing criminally wrong were tied to Epstein. And I think that what Ben says actually makes a lot of sense. As the fallout from the latest Epstein files release continues, including revelations about ex-ambassador, ex-lord Peter Mandelson, which have now put an actual prime minister in the hot seat, discourse so far has ignored a central question. Why were credited neolibs the most susceptible to this gadfly pervert? It's simple. These people all grew up cripplingly uncool. Model UN types who went to Brown and climbed the ranks at McKinsey, hoping for social affirmation from their idea of a popular party bro, suave, connected, mysterious. Nerd sycophants who knew they'd be eaten alive at the University of Alabama. Has anybody spotted an SEC grad in the files? Any at all? That's how you get Larry Summers desperately seeking relationship advice from the guy he knew who's good with very young ladies. Basically, Epstein provided these powerful, successful nerds what they always crave when they were excluded in high school, with high schoolers, no less. It's a lot of what it was. Most of the people who were named did nothing wrong. It's guilt by association. But that's the standard that both sides have set. If you were associated with Epstein and friends with Epstein, you should be banned from polite society. And in Europe, it's very notable. A lot of the people are getting banned from polite society. But in this country, the Democrats and Republicans have decided to protect their own instead of shunning them. We have lost our sense of shame to our detriment. Welcome back. It's Eric Erickson here. You may have heard the story of Seamus Cullinan from Kilkenny in Ireland, who has been held at an ICE facility in Texas. The American Press Corps is just blatantly lying about the situation because they realize this is an issue the polling suggests hurts Trump. From struggle session last night on CNN, here's Jason Rance and Abby Phillips.
Describing it as one or two one-offs, but the data shows that it's 40%.
But no, the data does not say that 40%
of people have no criminal record at all, and that includes
coming out of the
that includes crossing the border illegally. Hold on. Yeah, okay, hold on. Let's just all be talking about the same thing. Yeah. You're saying one-offs are people who are being caught up in this. The data seems to indicate that 40% of the people that have been arrested have no criminal record at all. So maybe they are in the country in an uncertain status. Maybe.
And she goes on to say how they can rectify their status. And this is one of the people they're saying can rectify his status, except this guy, Cullinan, came into the United States in 2009 under a visa waiver program that allowed for a 90-day stay. And then he didn't depart. He had the choice to depart. He chose not to. Now he's trying to get married to an American. And the difference, and apparently none of these people in the press know it, is the visa waiver program and the visa program are different programs, and the rules are different. And he wasn't supposed to stay, and trying to get married to an American doesn't help him in this situation. And the press doesn't seem to care. He had the opportunity to leave on his own. He chose not to. And now he's in a deportation facility. And the press is like, oh, this is so terrible. Look at the abuse of the Trump administration. Look, I don't necessarily like all the details here, but he overstayed his visa. And notice how they're focusing on the white guys to make it more sympathetic, because they've decided that the black and Hispanic immigrants aren't necessarily as sympathetic to the American audience. And so the media's trying to stir your tears for this guy from Ireland because he was going to get married to an American. He could have left on his own and filed paperwork and done all the stuff he needed to, and he chose not to. He's applying for a green card. He could have left the country to follow the rules like everyone else, and he didn't. I'm sorry, but this is not the sympathetic case the media wants you to believe, and they're having to twist the facts and lie to make it sympathetic to you, all to hurt Donald Trump. Pathetic. Now, I want you to know, I'm going to pull out my phone here just to be sure. I'm looking, and I have not gotten a single spam call on my phone today. None of these showing I got credit lines or extended warranties because I use Incogni. Incogni. You go to incogni.com/Eric, ERICK. You can sign up with them, get 60% off. Incogni works online as your representative to go to data brokers and tell them to take down your information, your cell phone number, your home phone number, your relatives' information, all that stuff. Insurance agents pay for that information to check up on you. Process servers do. The spam callers get your information. Incogni makes you incognito online. Incogni.com/Eric. INCOGNI. Incogni.com/Eric. You sign up with them, and they work online tirelessly telling those data brokers to delete your information to make your life more peaceful. Incogni.com/Eric.